The fireworks began early that night, sharp cracks splitting the cold air long before midnight. From the living room window of the small apartment, bursts of red and gold flashed like brief, violent flowers, lighting up the peeling paint on the walls. The little girl watched them from behind the couch, her knees pulled tight to her chest, her socked feet resting on a carpet that smelled faintly of spilled soda and something sour she couldn't name. She didn't know what time it was, only that it was New Year's Eve, because her mother had said it that morning while braiding her hair. A new year, her mother had whispered, forcing a smile. Maybe this one will be better. The television was on, the volume turned low, showing laughing hosts in shiny clothes, their smiles too wide, their voices too happy. Somewhere in the kitchen, a bottle clinked against the counter. The sound made the girl flinch. She hugged her stuffed rabbit closer, its left ear already thin from years of being rubbed between her fingers when she was scared. She had learned to read sounds the way other kids read books. The clink of glass meant one thing. The heavy sigh meant another. And the way the apartment seemed to hold its breath told her everything else. Her mother sat at the small dining table, pretending to scroll on her phone, though the screen had gone dark. She kept glancing toward the kitchen doorway, her shoulders tense, her jaw tight. "Sweetheart," she said softly without turning around, "if it gets loud, you know what to do." The girl nodded, even though her throat felt tight. She knew. She had known for a long time. Hide, be quiet, wait, and if, only if, it got really bad, do the other thing. The thing they had practiced only once, late at night, when her mother had knelt in front of her and held her hands, tears slipping down her cheeks as she spoke. "If I ever tell you to call," she had said, "or if I can't, you dial 3 numbers. 911. The kitchen door slammed. The man's voice followed, thick and unsteady, words tumbling over each other. "I told you," he said, laughing too loudly. "I told you it was the last time. It's New Year's. Can't a man celebrate?" The girl's heart started to pound. Her mother stood up slowly, the chair scraping against the floor. "Please," she said, her voice calm in that careful way that meant it wasn't calm at all. "Not tonight. She's awake. She's always awake," he snapped, appearing in the doorway. His face was red, his eyes glassy. He pointed toward the window, where fireworks bloomed again. "Hear that? Everyone's celebrating. I said I was sorry." The girl pressed herself deeper behind the couch, the rabbit's ear twisted tight in her fingers. She couldn't see them now, but she could hear everything, the way her mother's breath hitched, the way his words grew sharper, heavier, like stones being thrown. When something crashed in the kitchen, she squeezed her eyes shut. "Go," her mother said suddenly, louder now. "Please, just go to bed." He laughed again, a sound that made the girl's stomach hurt. "You always do this. You always act like I'm some monster." Another crash, closer. The girl didn't remember deciding to move. One moment she was frozen, and the next she was crawling across the carpet, heart racing, toward her bedroom. She slipped inside and closed the door as quietly as she could, turning the small lock with fingers that shook so badly she had to try twice. The room was dark except for the glow of the nightlight shaped like a moon. She slid under her bed, just like she'd been taught, pulling the blanket with her. Her mother's voice rose, then broke. The girl pressed her hands over her ears, but the sounds still seeped through, the sharp words, the sudden silence that was somehow worse. Her chest felt tight, like she couldn't get enough air. She thought of the fireworks outside, of people hugging and counting down, of sparkling juice and wishes whispered at midnight. She wondered if other kids were hiding under their beds too. Time stretched, thick and slow. Then she heard it, the sound that made her stomach drop. A soft cry, her mother's cry. The girl's hands trembled as she reached into her pajama pocket. The phone felt heavy, unfamiliar, even though her mother had shown her how to use it. She pulled it out, the screen lighting up her tear-streaked face. For a moment, she hesitated. What if she was wrong? What if he really meant it this time? He had promised. He always promised. Another thud, a sharp intake of breath. Her thumb hovered, then pressed the numbers. 911. The ringing felt impossibly loud. She held the phone close, her body curled tight under the bed. 911, what's your emergency? A calm voice said. The girl swallowed hard. Her voice came out as a whisper. Please, she said, please help us. Sweetheart, can you tell me where you are? The dispatcher asked gently. She listened, straining to hear beyond the door. I'm in my room, she said. It's New Year's Eve. That's okay, the voice said. You're doing great. Are you hurt? No, she whispered. But my mommy, he promised it was the last time. The words spilled out, practiced, rehearsed by fear. He said it before. Mommy told me to hide if it happened again. On the other end of the line, there was a pause, not long, but long enough for the girl to notice. Long enough for the dispatcher's fingers to stop moving. Outside, the countdown began somewhere, voices shouting joyfully. 10, 9, 8. The girl stayed very still, the phone pressed to her ear, her heart pounding in time with the distant fireworks, hoping, desperately, that someone, somewhere, was already on their way. The dispatcher's voice came back steadier than the world felt. Sweetheart, I need you to stay on the line with me, okay? You're not in trouble. You did exactly the right thing. The girl nodded even though the woman couldn't see her, her chin trembling. She pressed the phone tighter to her ear as another burst of fireworks rattled the window, the cheers outside clashing cruelly with the fear inside the apartment. I hear loud noises, the dispatcher said softly. Is he still there? The girl listened. The apartment felt eerily quiet now, the kind of quiet that made her skin prickle. I think he went to the living room, she whispered. Mommy isn't talking. That's okay, the dispatcher replied. Help is on the way. I need you to keep hiding where you are. Can you do that for me? Yes, the girl said, though her legs ached from being curled up so tight. Dust tickled her nose, and she fought the urge to sneeze, terrified the sound would give her away. I'm under my bed. Good job, the dispatcher said. You're very brave. I want you to tell me about your room. What do you see? The question felt strange, but it helped. The girl glanced around, the moon-shaped nightlight casting soft shadows. I have stars on my wall, she whispered. Glow-in-the-dark ones. Mommy put them there so I wouldn't be scared at night. They sound beautiful, the dispatcher said. What's your favorite one? The big one, the girl replied. It's supposed to be the North Star. Mommy says it helps people find their way home. On the other side of the door, footsteps staggered across the living room. The girl's breath hitched, but the dispatcher kept talking, her voice like a steady rope holding the child in place. You're doing so well. I need to know, are there any weapons in the house? The girl frowned, thinking hard. There's knives in the kitchen, she said slowly. And a bat, in the closet, for baseball, but we don't play baseball. Thank you for telling me, the dispatcher said. You're helping us a lot. The man's voice suddenly rose again, slurred and angry. Where is she? He shouted. You always turn her against me. The girl squeezed her eyes shut, tears sliding down her cheeks. He's yelling, she whispered into the phone. I know, the dispatcher said, her voice firm but kind. Listen to me, the police are very close. You are not alone. No matter what you hear, you stay where you are. The shouting grew louder, then cut off abruptly, replaced by a sharp gasp. The girl bit down on her lip so hard she tasted blood. Mommy, she breathed. I'm here, the dispatcher said quickly. I'm not going anywhere. I need you to take slow breaths with me, okay? In, and out. The girl tried, her chest rising and falling unevenly. Outside, the countdown reached 5, 4, 3. The world seemed to hold its breath. Then, sirens. At first, they were distant, a wailing sound weaving through the fireworks. The girl's heart leapt, hope crashing into fear so hard it made her dizzy. I hear something, she whispered. That's them, the dispatcher said. They're coming to help you and your mommy. You're safe. The man cursed loudly. Heavy footsteps rushed toward the door. The apartment erupted in noise, keys rattling, a door slamming, another voice shouting commands. The girl clamped her hands over her ears, the phone pressed between her shoulder and cheek, tears streaming freely now. Stay with me, the dispatcher urged. You're doing great. Can you hear the officers? Yes, the girl sobbed. They're loud. That's okay, the dispatcher said. They're supposed to be loud. They're there to protect you. The door to the bedroom flew open. Bright light flooded the room, blinding after the darkness. Police. A voice called. It's okay, sweetheart. You can come out. The girl froze, fear rooting her in place. What if it was a trick? What if she came out and everything got worse? I don't want to, she whispered into the phone. That's okay, the dispatcher said gently. Take your time. You can tell them you're under the bed. I'm under the bed, the girl said aloud, her voice shaking. A pair of knees appeared in her line of sight, then a gentle face. Hi, the officer said softly. My name is Sarah. You're safe now. The girl hesitated, then slowly crawled out, clutching her rabbit. The room smelled like cold air and something metallic. She looked past the officer and saw another one helping her mother up from the floor. Her mother's lip was split, her eyes swollen, but when she saw her daughter, her face crumpled with relief. "Oh, baby," her mother sobbed, reaching for her. The girl ran into her arms, burying her face in her mother's shoulder. For the first time that night, she cried loudly, openly, the sound ripping out of her chest. The dispatcher's voice murmured one last reassurance through the phone before the call ended. Outside, fireworks exploded in full force, the crowd shouting, "Happy New Year!" As if the words could fix everything. The girl clung to her mother, feeling her heartbeat, strong and alive. Later, wrapped in a blanket in the back of an ambulance, the girl stared out at the lights streaking past. Her mother held her hand tightly, squeezing it every few seconds as if to remind herself it was real. An officer spoke softly nearby, words like safe and protected and next steps floating through the air. "Did I do the right thing?" the girl asked quietly, her voice small again. Her mother knelt in front of her, tears shining in her eyes. "You did the bravest thing," she said, kissing her forehead. "You saved us." The girl leaned back, exhausted, the weight of the night settling into her bones. Outside, the year turned, unnoticed by her. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the fear and the tears, a new understanding took root, that promises broken didn't have to be the end, that help could come when called, and that even the smallest voice could be loud enough to change everything.